And hello to those who are now tuning in on the video stream, the Old Tube Radio Network here in the Central Valley of California. A reminder that we've had our first radio so far this evening, the Miratel CR117. We're listening for more. One seven. And let's see, if I look at the right screen, I will know what to do. And the thing I need to do now is go to the SWL page and check in. Shortwave listener 49, Brian waving a hand over at oldtuberadio.net. And if you're seeing any of the video here, Brian, you can see that it is a bit breezy. The trees behind me here are blown around a lot, so we got a little windstorm coming up here this evening, but all is well. And for those on the video side at YouTube, I wanted to show you, we missed you, what you missed, but this is the Miratel CR117 that checked in just before we started the broadcast. A very interesting radio and sounding pretty darn good from Paul's collection, SWL 45, the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
Hoping the station for you is OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network. And Larry, Radio Ham Guy, you are correct. It does look very windy because it is very windy, and that just came up within the last hour. I think we have a little cell blowing through. There doesn't seem to be any, at least I hope not, any rain attached to it at the moment, so it should blow through. We were having 90-degree weather at the beginning of the week, and the temperatures have dipped for the weekend, but I'm sure they will be back up. Not sure what our competition is tonight. I think the ratings period for television is ending this weekend. So there may be some, and they always put the big blockbusters on right at the end. As we mentioned, a lot of graduation ceremonies at the university here in Fresno State University, graduating class of 2016, happening tonight at the big Save Mart Center. So they can get a lot of people. You can get a lot of your family in to see you graduate if you're at the Save Mart Center. And checking out the solar index, SFI is 99. Oh, no wonder. Sunspots number's at 17. That's the lowest I've seen it in a long time. So I'm sure that's why our maximum usable frequency hasn't quite made it up to 10 and 11 meters for the last day or two, although they're showing that 20.22, so 20 meters, 15 meters might still be in if you're SWLing. If you got one of those nifty, Hammarlund radios, you can SWL a little bit. So anyway, the propagation is always good on a Saturday night here at Old Tube Radio Network. Doesn't matter where you are, you will hear some tube radios. Hello, 45.
Yeah, Dennis. I am 7 telephone.
Aha, is this the one that we started with last week, but it didn't actually end the QSO properly?
Yeah, it's really a strange thing. I don't know what's going on. It's supposed to stop the something, but I could 10 free on 10 and 12, and if you get 11, it wouldn't send us. I said it was too good. So I tried to pick the mobile computer up, and thought I had a quick. So I got my other 7 out. I'm helping on it.
Okay, let's put up the MC7. And wow, just got a note in from SWL31. Ball lightning hit my CB cable. Lasted 10 seconds. Fell on the floor. Wow, I have to get some updates on that. That does not sound like something that we want to happen during the net here. Okay, the 7's doing good, that transmission. Try another transmission here, and we'll see if we can get 2 out of it. And I think we're better than last week.
Okay, well, I'll try to explain it. Talking about the weather a little bit. I hope it makes it cool. Looks pretty good so far. Here looks good. Anyway, this thing has 9 tubes in it. 23 channels. 26 the And that gives us 24-channel radio. They got 5 Anyway, and this is a 6-12-volt DC and 150 PhD not storage. Yeah, this is has that modulator on it, and we're only set generator function and microphone. So we just kind of did not roughly look like that. But small up and 2-star carbon mics through this. Well, let's get back. We can put up some more stuff on.
Okay, like I said, putting in a good signal. Audio is still a little rough. The modulation percentage will sink down quite a bit, and then it'll come up. So I'm not sure if that's just a carbon mic issue or what it is, but you do have to stay into that microphone quite a bit to keep the audio percentage up all the way. But we're glad it has come back for its repeat performance and has done a good job. It'll be Radio 2 tonight on the list. Thanks for bringing it by.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and just a note to Robert, I don't know what I would do if I saw the lightning coming through off the cable. I've seen the little sparks and heard the static before, but I don't know. I'm thinking that where we are here in Central California, we might not get quite the elaborate fireworks shows you guys get in Tennessee. But yeah, when you put up hardware in the air, I guess you are in some sense making lightning rods. You got to be careful. There are, I guess, ways around that. But even the best laid plans of static arresters and lightning deterrents cannot keep things from being struck. Just talk to anybody that's got a well planned out broadcast facility.
OTR.
The break OTR, please proceed.
24, check it in.
Okay, on a Saturday night, a good time to key down the microphonium on channel 11 and say you are checking in, because I can go to the SWL list and mark down 24, and you will indeed be checked in. Thanks, Joseph.
Thanks, sir. You have a good evening now.
So far, so good here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Yeah, thanks, Robert, for the clarification there. Well, I was mentioning that because Neil, SWL 147, mentioned that they were having thunderstorms, so he said the radio's disconnected. So this would be, this is the safe way to listen to a little bit of radio when you are having thunderstorms. So we are glad we could oblige. And we were talking about ball lightning, and Robert was relating his experience, frightening experience with ball lightning and CB radio items. Just wanted to check it out. It's an unexplained atmospheric electrical phenomenon. The term refers to reports of luminous spherical objects which vary from pea-sized to several meters in diameter. Though usually associated with thunderstorms, it lasts considerably longer than the split-second flash of a lightning bolt. And many early reports say that the ball eventually explodes. So, yeah, when you see something like that coming out of the coax, as you mentioned, it can be extremely dangerous across the hardwood floors. I don't have hardwood floors, but I've got an older house that has cork and the vinyl composition tiles, so I'm sure it would... were there something like that, it might dance around a bit, but I think I'll watch the YouTube videos from afar. This is your Old Tube Radio Network. We are listening for your glow-in-the-dark radio check-ins. And time of the top of the hour for our jingle singers, talking about that friendly place to be on a Saturday night.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
And current temp here in Fresno, California, Central Valley of California, 71 degrees, 75 in the Radio Shack. And the windows open. Humidity of 51%, which is kind of high for us, actually. Not showing that rain's on its way, and winds at 17, although I'm sure gusts have been a little bit more than that. More than that. There we go. And now I've done it. We were talking about glorious junk days in Clovis, and I think last week SWL 62 mentioned that they were happening the next day. Rex said he thought it was happening Sunday, and then came back and corrected himself and said no. And then tonight I said they were happening tomorrow, and I will come back and correct myself so that nobody runs out there looking for radios. Let's get the skinny on this. Glorious Junk Days in Clovis will be happening on May 29th. So that's Memorial Day weekend. So hopefully next Saturday we'll be able to talk about them correctly. But he mentioned that there are sometimes radios out there, so we will find out. So not tomorrow, not the 22nd, but the 29th in the Junk Days Vintage Market. So we've set that straight. If you're listening, Rex, it can happen to anybody, right? The Heathkit GW21. I think I got a pair of those. I think I picked up a pair of those. I don't have to check. The walkie-talkies from Heathkit, if you're over at old2radio.net. I got something. We took it over to the shop there with Harvey, and I don't think they worked. we couldn't even get them to show up on the spectrum analyzer. They came with channel 4, which is an odd crystal for a walkie-talkie. I think Midlands, the early Midlands walkie-talkies used to come with channel 7, I know. And the Hallercrafter set that I had that did work, and a lot of them, like the Radio Shacks, would come with channel 11, although I suppose you could specify by the crystal when you bought the thing, but they usually came with the channel supplied. So anyway, not sure if there were any tube walkie-talkies. As far as I know, in the 31 years we've been doing this, we have not had a check-in. We've had check-in from portable walkie-talkies before. Ask 47 about that, but I don't think we've had check-ins for anything that had any portable walkie-talkies with tubes. Yeah, we've had bicycle mobile check-ins that would be using a battery pack. Not self-contained, so I don't know if it classifies as a walkie-talkie, but it certainly would be portable. We've had mobile check-ins before, so getting close. Actually, if anybody's on a walkie-talkie right now, we'll get you checked in. Maybe not on the tube radio list, but we'll check in. Yeah, sounding a lot like that, like a TRC something. Was there a braking station for OTR? Over. All right, let's try the portable station for OTR.
station on the side.
And station on the side, hello from the Old Tube Radio Network.
Yeah, I got a proxy for Gentleman Jim, 145. He called me. He wants me to check him in, though. This is Grace, 109. Sometime we go by King Kong.
All right, yeah, King Kong. Definitely recognize the voice. Radio's sounding good. And sometimes if Gentleman Jim is on the radio, depending on what antenna he is on, I will hear him okay. So I don't know if I missed him tonight or not, but thanks to your proxy check-in there for 145, he's got the big X in the square for Gentleman Jim 145. Thanks.
810 Roger 4. Thank you. God bless. Bye-bye.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR just for kicks. Over.
Well, thank you, Dennis. I'd like to check in my Colt Midnight Special tonight.
Okay, nice audio. And those series of radios, and the Colt Midnight Special is one of them. We'll get a shot of it up here. All had the nice audio. I'm not sure if they were plate modulated, but they had the nice audio chassis. So let's head back over to you and take another transmission.
Well, thank you, Dennis. This radio comes at probably close to the end of the tube radio type production. It does have an LED channel indicator, etc. It's a Japanese type clone radio. I think the Shakespeare looks almost identical to it, and several others. Over.
Yes, you are correct on that. You know the guy that's really good about rolling off all the different chassis or covers that went over that chassis is Mr. Bill, probably because he's seen them come through the shop, and this is one of them. One of the nice-looking ones too. I really like the simplicity of this radio, but it looks good, and it doesn't look too modern, and it doesn't look too old, and it sounds great. So Midnight Special. It is the Panasonic chassis, and this is they had a 23-channel version and a 40-channel chassis version. This is the probably 1977 or 1978 40-channel. Nice and loud, doing a good job for Radio 3, over.
Yes, I did mean to mention that it does indeed have the 40 channels.
Okay, and got a shot up at oldtuberadio.net showing to, if you're watching the video, and there is, I don't know if you can, how good the lighting is. It looks like there's a switch or something next to the channel selector, but on the other side of the speaker. Or is that a pilot light that might wink and blink at you? I can't tell if it's a button or a light.
Well, just close. Yes, that's an on-the-air modulation indicator type light, and it does winky blinky when I talk. 1, 2, 3. There is also a switch located below the meter that's an RF sensitivity switch. And then it does have, to the operator's far right, a switch for a PA system.
Okay, so it's got a lot of everything. Has a pretty decent audio amp, so might make it should make a good PA as well. And we like the way your PA sounds tonight. Radio 3, Colt, C-O-L-T, the Midnight Special, one of the newest old tube radios and one of the very rare 40-channel chassis that were around, in, as Phil said, with various names, but I believe all from Panasonic. Doing a good job. Give us another transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
Well, thanks indeed, Dennis, and back to OTR.
Okay, so we made a good run. We started out with our first radio from 1960, and we've moved up to probably the last radios put out in 1978. So we are looking for anything and everything in between here at the Old Tube Radio Network.
listening in the latest style. That's
27.085 megahertz.
on your dial. That's
Channel 11, Old Tube Radio,
in wonderful.
Fresno, California.
A break OTR, please proceed.
Yeah, this is me, Jack. Earlier I checked in on my mobile radio. This is my base radio. Does this do any better?
Let's see. I'm looking at the S meter. I think I gave you an S9 with 5 dB modulation. This one looks like it's doing very similar on the signal. Take another transmission. I'm not sure about the audio. The audio may have been louder on the mobile radio, but it's very close. Over.
Okay, yeah, this radio's never been touched. It's 135 XLR, but it's with my Antron up at 90 feet.
Wow. Okay. It seems to me that I would be noticing a difference, and I think I'm remembering correctly on the on your signal report before. So it's very, very close to what you were doing on the mobile radio.
Okay, yeah, this one's stock, no amplifier. The mobile, I got a white line 400 behind it. So, okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There's a difference. So now you know that, and another event proven here that having a good antenna at a good altitude is equivalent to having a lot of amplified power with a lower antenna. So there are ways to achieve anything you want to do, and antennas are always having a good antenna is always a first start there. All right, yeah, good. It's just about almost exactly the same signal strength. So that tells you what a good antenna will do for you.
Thank you.
It sounds like Net Control needs to heed their own advice when talking about getting a good antenna in the air.
Well, you sound pretty good yourself.
Yeah, just think how good I would sound if I had a decent antenna. Where we don't need a decent antenna is over at oldtuberadio.net, the Universal Media Net Web, helping us out a little bit. Propagation is typically pretty good when you're at oldtuberadio.net. Hello to Fresno, Prather, California. What is that? Owatonna, Minnesota is where it's showing up tonight. Hendersonville, Tennessee, of course. Fayetteville, North Carolina, where hopefully the weather is getting a little bit better. Dallas, Texas, by way of Frisco. La Mollet, Illinois. I mispronounced that. Obviously, you can tell these West Coast guys that don't know how to pronounce a real city. A lot of unknown SWL tonight. Thanks for tuning in. And Madera. Don't see Madera on the board too often. So if you're hearing us on 27085, hello there as well. We are listening for your Tube Radio check-ins on the Old Tube Radio Network.
You're actually hearing people from way out there?
Yeah, listening in on the live audio stream at oldtuberadio.net.
You're on the net. What do you mean?
If you have an iPhone or a device that will hook up to the internet and you dial up oldtuberadio.net, this program, what you want to call it, is being streamed live across the universe.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'll get the net, the web, or whatever. So, okay, I'll try it.
All right, yes, you are being heard or can be heard just about anywhere. Someone tunes in oldtuberadio.net.
Lamoine, Illinois.
Lamoille, Illinois. Lamoille, Illinois.
All right, so Google calls it Lamoille, which is better than I did, I think. A village in Bureau County. Population was 726 of the 210 census. Wow. Part of the Ottawa Streeter Micropolitan Statistical Area, named after the Lamoille River in Vermont. So there you go. Listening in. I bet they have some very cool radios out there as well. Very cool. And on a graduation night, this is the Old Tube Radio Network. We're hoping to graduate a few more radios here, looking for radio number 4. And it is extremely quiet out there tonight. Old Tube Radio listening. And it is.
Why is the radio so quiet these days? I remember when I used to get on it years ago, man, every channel had so much yapping on it. Now there's nobody.
That's true. I don't think there's any necessity to use the little 5-minute QSO rule anymore.
What, the cell phone take that over?
Well, that could be part of it. I'm thinking that forms of social media have taken over part of that, but there's still some basic thrill, one, to sit out here with your tube radio and drive it around the block at least once a week. And I don't know, just you know, if you like to turn knobs and press buttons, that's another reason to be out here.
I'm stuck at home. I take care of a mentally ill girl, and I can't really go anywhere. something that I can get the radio and be able to talk to people. There's nobody out there, nowhere.
And the other thing is to know your vicinity, know your area, because certain channels, like here in town, lower 38's a good sideband channel. Of course, I guess there's always one thing you can count on, that there should always be activity on, is it channel 17, especially if you're near a major interstate like Fresno is here.
I've tried 17, doesn't sound good. Tried 19, doesn't sound good. I don't know.
Station.
Hello, station, over.
A super late check-in, number 79.
And this is your super late check-in frequency, SWL 79. Philip, you are sounding good, and we will get you up on the big board and get you checked in, over.
Thank you, sir.
Break OTR.
Hello, radio. Break OTR. Please proceed.
Well, this one's acting up a little bit, so 1, 2, 3. Anyway, 56, trying to check in this Burstein-Applebee BA-23.
Okay, it is King, and there is audio. And we have a picture, and it actually says the Burstein-Applebee BA-23 from the collection of Phil. So with that said, we will unkey and hopefully hear another transmission from that radio, over.
Well, thank you, Dennis. The modulation meter doesn't want to wiggle very much, but it does show a signal going out. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't know.
Okay, and I would agree with that. The meter is telling you true. Your modulation percentage is probably about 50%. I think I've heard that radio before sound a little bit louder, but it's not doing anything bad like squealing or popping or anything like that. It's just a little bit low, but I think that's what your device is telling you. So like I said, maybe there's a tube or something that's not quite happy, but it's got audio and it's sounding good. It's an interesting looking radio. I believe it may be a clone of somebody's radio, like the Olsen. I'm going to say an Olsen spotter is what we figured out before, but I'm talking here. Give it a chance to warm up a little more, and we'll go back to you with radio number 4.
Yeah, I think we decided it was the kind of an Olsen spotterish type radio. Most people know that Burstein-Applebee didn't manufacture anything themselves. They were similar to like a Sears Roebuck, where they would contract with the supplier and put their own name on the radio, over.
As did J.C. Penney, I think, and Montgomery Ward's, and probably a few others. I think Burstein-Applebee was, I don't recall them here on the West Coast, but I have a feeling they might have been a little bit more popular back east.
Well, that also is, there's the modulation moving a little bit better. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's just warming up. My understanding is they started out, I think it was like in the Midwest, and they started operating out of the trunk of their car, and eventually got a brick and mortar building, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, and yes, the audio quality has come up considerably. the audio, the modulation percentage has come up. So it has reached, I guess it is ready for picking.
Well, I can see it's a little happier now. Maybe it just wasn't up to temp as it were. Anyway, Burstein-Applebee, interesting company. You can find information on the web about it, about the company. They were kind of like a precursor to Radio Shack. Sold a lot of home electronic type stereo gear, speakers. Obviously, a Citizens Band radio at this point. Anyway, all I have on it, it's a fairly nice looking radio, very simple. The receive is always variable tune and not crystal controlled. The transmit obvious is as always crystal controlled. Over.
Oops, there we go. Got to keep the transmitter. As well, it should be, I guess, to make the FCC happy. That interesting configuration there, where you have the two separate tuning dials and the round speaker. So there, again, if I could find, maybe I should do that. See if I can find a shot also of the Olsen. I think it was a spotter too. It was one of the Olsen spotter series, and we might be able to see some similarities in there. But I'm glad we kept the radio on long enough to get it to behave and sound nice. Over.
Well, thank you, Dennis. With that said, we'll sit back and listen to the rest of the program. Thanks again.
All right, thanks again. There's an Olsen 23. Just dialed in there, an Olsen Spotter 23, and notice it has, while it's a little bit different, it has similarities with the round speaker, the dual transmit and receive selectors, and the placement of the S meter. So Olsen and Burstein-Applebee in cahoots there, but we're glad they were, because the radio sounds good. Radio number 4, and a very rare one for us here at the Old Tube Radio Network, but we often, thanks to our great radio collectors, often do find the rare ones. Thanks for bringing it by.
Break OTR.
And there's also a lot of catalogs that Burstein-Applebee did. Their 40th anniversary from 1967. So, like you said, very, very much like a Radio Shack. And the break OTR. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Dennis. This is me. Be radio number 5. One anyway tonight. This is, excuse me, this is my general radio telephone. This is the Super MC11A. The 24-channel model there for sure. And this here is also running a handheld stock microphone. Over.
All right, sounding good on the handheld microphone. Sorry about, apologies to our video, had a little bit of a problem there, but now we do have a shot of Radio 5, the Super MC11A. And as we take a look at the great-looking rig, let's hear the great-sounding audio. Over.
Okay, well, I thought at least getting here and get here one. I need to get in there and do a few things, but I wanted to at least get one of them in here tonight anyway for you, Dennis.
All right, and we appreciate that. I do understand that sometimes on a Saturday night it can get quite busy with the normal happenings and the coming and goings that will happen on a weekend. And when our radio operators get a chance to tippy-toe into the radio room and key down a radio or two, we certainly appreciate it, as we do. Radio 5, the general radio telephone, Super MC11A. It always sounds so good. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, Dennis, and again, thank you for being out there. If I can, what time is it? I don't know. It's going to be tough, but after I get out of the rain locker, it depends if I got enough time. We'll see. All right, Dennis, thank you, and I'll be out.
All right, and thank you for checking into the Old Tube Radio Network. Let's head over to the Jingle Singers, who also have just gotten out of the rain locker.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
All right, here's a little Burstein-Applebee information that I didn't have at the proper time. Founded in 1927, they went through until about 1980 when this was the official closing of the company. Kansas City, Missouri, catalogs of all kinds, radio, TV, electronics, till through most of the 1960s. Their catchphrase, everything in electronics. And apparently they had over 29 stores at their peak, none of which I've ever been in. Here's K5LAD talking about his memories of Burstein-Applebee from 1957, a parts supply house in Kansas City. Saying he built many antennas. He said they had great prices on components and liked the pages in the back of their catalog because where they listed all of their special bargains. Or bought a roll of 500 feet of number 18 copper weld wire, which made for great experimental antennas. Yes, indeed. He says they used to sell something called the Warehouseman's Assortment. Doesn't say what the price was. Okay, $1.95, $2 to $3. The Warehouseman's Assortment said it was a hodgepodge of assorted pieces, what some people might call floor sweepings. There were large and small resistors, large and small capacitors. There could be some inductors, plastic handles which fit, nothing that he ever had anyway, but they could fit something, screws and nuts of various sizes. Occasionally pieces would match up, and many other assorted things. Where are the great electronic stores these days where you can go and get your floor sweeping assortment for a couple of bucks? Now, I guess that's called the flea market. That's called the ham fest.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, please proceed.
Well, thank you, Dennis. I think I'll give this Hammarlund HQ105 a test drive tonight.
Okay, yeah, I mentioned it in passing as we were talking about the SWLs. You grab a picture of the Hammarlund, and boy, it's sounding really good. The audio is really nice. Radio 6, back to you.
Well, thank you, Dennis. I think that hopefully this one's warmed up. The wiggly jiggly meter seems to be happy.
Yeah, when the wiggle meters are doing the little happy dance, that can typically be a sign that we're going to get a check in here. So let's not, I won't try to jinx it, but I'll go back to you for yet another transmission.
Well, real good. Yeah, this radio, as you had alluded to earlier, it really can be a lot of fun for shortwave listening. It requires a little patience and a steady hand on the band spread to really dial it in. At least mine, anyway. Very, very sensitive to tuning it in.
Yeah, and I think that is probably typical of a lot of the shortwave receivers of that ilk, where you have the main dial and then a fine tuning dial. And like you said, you get used to the finesse that's needed. And depending on what you're doing, I imagine it's probably a little easier to tune in an AM station. You get into sideband, or if it will detect or decode sideband. If you've got a BFO, it may be a bit tricky to get that in there. But I bet it probably works pretty decent for AM.
AM works just really, really nicely. It's still a little bit, well, the AM broadcast stations, they're so put out such a signal, it's hard to miss them anyway. But this one does have a BFO, and I've never tried to tune sideband in, but I understand it is possible.
Okay, and that will work. I know my old Hallicrafters, you actually had to reduce the RF gain quite a bit because it would overload. It was basically like throwing a carrier, the way the switch would work. Like, it was a CW receiver, but you could decipher the sideband, but you really had to attenuate or reduce the RF gain on that receiver to get the audio to sound good. But you could do it, and it was tough. But I remember my early days listening to the guys on West Cars on 40 meters. So good deal. SWL will like this radio. It has the general coverage shortwave receiver, and they managed to sneak a little 11-meter transmitter in there as well, with a nice matching speaker. Makes a great set, and very, very hard to come by. Glad you brought yours by tonight. Give us another transmission.
Well, thank you, Dennis. The train's coming, so I'll say back to OTR.
And indeed, the train is coming. That tells us it is time for your radios to check in. They've been warming up. I've got about 15 minutes left on the net tonight. Thanks for radio number 6, the Hammarlund HQ 105TR, and we're standing by. Jingle Singers on their way soon. Currently 61 degrees outside here in Fresno, California. 75 in the shacks, kind of nice. All these tubes warming things up, and the wind at doesn't actually say. Yeah, 17 miles an hour. We get a little windy here tonight, coming almost out of the north, which is typical when it's breezy like this.
Let's do some spelling.
OTR.
Let's do some adding.
27.085 megahertz.
What do they amount to?
Channel 11, Old
The
Tube Radio.
radio.
Old Tube Radio. .085 meg.
Receiver's just really quiet tonight. Not any static. I've got the RF gain back down just a little bit to keep from driving our digital listeners from going crazy with the static noise. But there isn't much static noise at all. So we will hopefully break the static here in the next few minutes with a radio check-in at the Old Tube Radio Network. Hello, radio, over.
Yeah, looks like I'll just make it in there. Number 20, checking in on my Golden Beagle R68T68 by Browning Lavatories with the D104 with the medallion on the back of the head. The Browning Lavatories medallion. And that's about it for me tonight there. Catch you next week.
Okay, and a decent choice here for the end of the net. The radio sounding very loud, great audio, a perfectly orchestrated ping on Radio 7, otherwise known as the Browning Golden Eagle.
You betcha. Yeah, one of my favorite radios. Okay, I'll turn it back to you, see if there's anybody else out there, and be back next week.
Okay, same tube time, same tube channel, the Old Tube Radio Network, 31 years of hanging out. Whether there might be one radio or 101 radios checking in, we will be here to make sure there is a venue for that key down. And we're glad you're there. I hear I wonder if Bozo is outside. I hear the police helicopter circling about.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't hear it over here. But as far as hanging around, these are American radios, and as a famous American said, we'll either hang separately or hang together.
And we're glad the people are hanging out. The R68, T68, there's Series 1, Series 2. I guess the last of the affordable Brownings, or is that a bad thing to say? I guess they were always affordable, or they're not affordable. $395, the Browning Golden Eagle Series 2 transmitter has the lighted on the air light rather than the spot light on this, as they do on the Series 1, and some receivers have variable RF gain. Others have a 3-position switch for RF gain. Optional wood cabinet was $25. And the optional bass speaker was $23.50. Now, why wouldn't you? I guess if you just spent $400, maybe you didn't have enough money to get those. But why not?
Well, you'd probably have to have enough room. This is the Series 2 with the on-air light on the transmitter, and on the receiver, it is the 3-position distant, normal, and local switch there, which in my radio works pretty well. And where it says manual and fixed, manual is the regular 23 channels, but fixed, instead of being where you put it on fixed and you use that lock set's little screwdriver slot to set one channel, my radio, when you go to fixed, the lock set sets the whole band up, so it goes from channel, say, 27 up to 595. So they modified this so it would be similar to the Mark III with the high frequency. Okay, and I guess that was sort of a necessary thing back when everybody was doing it, right? What? You don't know there's this whole thing going on above channel 23 just because your dial doesn't necessarily go past that. So there was always a way around it. It seems like most of the Mark IIIs that I see or Brownings that I see now always have was it a PAL VFO or Sotronics VFO in the mix with it. Anyway, it sounds good. It's just always a pleasure to hear that radio nice loud. It's the way Browning wanted their radios to sound, and they sort of were proprietary. It's very hard to make them, regardless of what you do, it's very hard to make them sound any way else. Oh yeah. Oh, we know that. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna go back inside, get some rest, and catch you next week.
All right, very good. Thanks for stopping by with Radio 7. A few more minutes here. I'm going to be counting and amounting. If you've got one warmed up, now's the time to check it in, because we've got just a few more minutes on the old Tube Radio Network.
All right. How many content for the left?
Radio 8, yes, over.
All right. The radio loud, the Gonset G11 for one channel, one man the guy, and not a lot of other numbers.
Okay, I have a good shot of the G11. Let me pop it. This isn't it, but we'll get started with that, just so people can get an idea that this may not be the world's prettiest radio, but it does work away from 1959, 1960, and it's got the Magic Eye tube, so that makes it. That makes up for everything, right?
Yeah, I do wish this one would be a little more active. I do have to really get into the microphone like I'm doing right now. Make it work. Actually, it's not even really moving that much. The volume, hello. Yes. If you get forceful, which I'm not going to do at 10 o'clock at night, you can definitely make the masturbate too. But, I don't know, you made a comment about it and perhaps not being the most fascinating looking radio. I will say, is it? Yeah, I'd say it's tied for first place for the best looking radio in my collection. I wouldn't think museum long, but the beat and, well, half of the knobs, one of the two knobs, looks pretty good. And I think there's a couple of scratches on the mic, which is permanently radio. But other than that, it looks pretty good to me.
All right, look, Jay, I've got the picture, the radio that Cliff has, and it just makes it look really nice. He does a great job. I think, and his radio looks in really good shape, but he's got the radio keyed down. You can see the magic eye tube glowing. He's got either the static or that Shure end-fire microphone that goes with it, and I think it also shows, the frequency, the weird frequency thing that Gonset did, where it gives you the frequency, but it's not really the right channel, at least for the American band plan. Get into that microphonian and give us another transmission on Radio 8.
Okay. If you are showing a picture of that online, I think you're probably looking at, well, obviously pretty much the same radio I have. I think that one does have a pretty cool, I guess a power lamp. In other words, you turn the radio on, and right underneath the top right-hand corner, there's a Gonset medallion on there, the brand name, and under that, painted on the face of the radio, small number, which is more than and I think under that is a pretty cool, I guess it's someone had to add that on there. I don't see stock, but a little power lamp, cat eye, someone, I think was the term that someone used to refer to it. I don't have a cat eye pilot lamp on this thing to tell me it's turned on, but I think that one was pretty cool. And incidentally, I think you were earlier on in the show you were talking about picking up electronic parts and whatnot. And I was driving down into Ashland recently, and it looked like what is Sparky? I saw it going out of business or retirement. I think it was a retirement sign up in Sparky. So if you need parts, well, you might want to go in there and look around.
Okay, it's kind of been rumored Sparky's has been going away for a long time, so it's it's hard to say. The last time I was in there probably was last year, and I was looking for some solder wick, and I think they have a little reel in there. It was $15. It was just incredibly overpriced, and I just couldn't understand what the deal was on that, but they do have other things. None of the lights were turned on. It was very dark. It was sad, actually. And then, speaking of sad, it's the whole situation, Arbuckles, that has been advertising, which is an electronics store that's been downtown Fresno forever, which has been advertising in Skip forever and advertising in our SBE newsletter forever, has pulled their ad. They closed the Bakersfield store, and they've pulled their ad. That's just like saying that there isn't a Santa Claus. So that, to me, is also a bad sign. So at least the Young Spring and Wire Company from Gonset is doing okay.
Comment?
That's a very artistic way to come back to the topic here. Yeah, I don't even know how to respond to that. That makes me pretty sad. But again, it's
God it's still working here. Oh, I don't need any parts for it. So, yeah, it's fun to use. This particular radio is fun to use. Pretty simple. Yeah, you know, I was getting late. I was going to count earlier. You know, what the average is on how many times you can be one channel radio check in. You know, I know there was this one, obviously. There was another one. What is the other one? It's almost the same dimension. A Johnson Viking. You'd have to elaborate on that. I don't know what the detail is. It's getting pretty late, but I think it was that one that even had the that cat-eye pilot lamp that I have. Now, how many? I don't know if you want to make a comment on the number of single-channel radios, but I was curious.
Well, and there is a comment. Well, we'll get to that as well from Phil. But when you get a 1958, 1959, 1960, and of course the Gonset communicator, this was advertised in the 1958 edition of QST. A lot of the radios were single-channel radios or single, non-selectable, where you'd have to go in and change the crystal. And of course, it was citizen band. It was, you were talking base to mobile. There was no need to run around and try and find other stations to talk to. And they were trying to keep the price affordable. This one, $150, by the way, but that was a very typical price for the early 60s radios. And you are referring to the Johnson Viking or the Messenger or the Messenger 1, which was very similar in style. The early general radio telephones, the VS Vibration Service Series, were like the loaf of bread style like that. Also, very few channels. So again, it was keeping it simple because this wasn't an operator hobby type thing. It was communications, citizen communications. Phil, thanks for standing by, and let's take your comment. Hello, 56.
Well, just regarding Sparkies, I was in there about 2 days ago, and they have a banner outside saying retirement sale. So, for what that's worth.
Okay. It's probably worth the fact that it's a nicer way of saying we're going out of business. We're just retiring, and so maybe that solder wick will be a little bit more affordable. But there's other things. Sparky, of course, is kind of a mainstay here for Fresno. Remember everybody remembers their old location there at Clinton and Blackstone. And probably has a good story or two for picking something up at Sparky, so it might be worth a trip going in there. Thanks, Phil. All right, let's go back over to Radio 8, the Gonset G11. We'll wrap things up here, do some counting and amounting. Jingle Singers, I think, have one more little ditty for us, and it will be the old Tube Radio Network. Back to the Gonset.
Okay, yeah, thanks for letting me check that. And yeah, I did see that again. I saw that retirement sign. I was trying to think of some clever way to work in the comment about the sign, but I don't think I can. The only thing I can say is I do remember from my youth seeing that wonderful Sparky electronic neon sign when it was on Blackstone. But that was definitely one of the better neon signs of anywhere on up and down Blackstone. I definitely remember that. I think I know well. Last time I asked about it, which was up here. I think they have that sign still going around. I don't know how many other folks remember that. No, it was cool. Anyways, on that, thanks for letting me check in the Gonset on the radio. Everyone sounds great. And have a great week. Thank you, sir.
All right, I was just see if I could round up the Jingle Singers here. They are ready to go, and so if I press the right buttons, I think they're in there. All right, it's just I think someone's standing in front of the window. That's why I can't see them. So let me just throw caution to the wind and open the microphone.
are tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
Okay, let's. I remember a ham radio operator telling me that this was his least favorite sign-off expression. So let's tie the ribbons on this one. So we won't tie the ribbons on anything, but we will say this has been the Old Tube Radio Network, your glow-in-the-dark bastion on 11 meters for 31 years, thanks to our tube radio operators and shortwave listeners. It is still 75 degrees. I think my thermometer is broken up there. Still 75 degrees here in the shack tonight. But that's comfortable. The wind has died down a little bit, but still like 15, 16 miles an hour. What was I going to tell you? I was going to tell you about the SWLs. We had 9 on page 1, 16 on page 2, 13 on page 3, and 14 on page 4 for a total of 52. We didn't add anybody new that I can see. We are on week 5 of an 8-week roster. And how about those radios, ladies and gentlemen?
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR total.
The current and final, thank you, the current and final OTR totals. We didn't quite make it into the double digits tonight, but there is a lot of things going on. There's stuff going on tomorrow. It's been a great day outside. What's that? Graduation. A lot of people graduating, ceremonies, sons, daughters, husbands, wives, whatever, from the University of Fresno State University. Graduation night. So congratulations to the 2016 graduates who paid a heck of a lot more to get their degree than I did so many years ago. So I feel sorry for them. It's just something needs to be done about the high cost of all this. Let's talk about radios. The General Radio Telephone sneaking in with 2 to be the most heard manufacturer tonight, but we'd like them all, whether there's 1 or 22. Starting off with the Miratel CR117, thanks to Paul and his great radio collection going back to some of his mystery radios. The General Radio Telephone MC7, that was made an appearance for 1 transmission, I think, last week. If you listen to the archives, you'll hear it. Coming back to finish off that QSO that we wanted to do last week. Paul brought it back and sounded pretty good. It's a little rough, but it's okay. It made it through. So thanks, Paul, for the General Radio Telephone MC7. The Colt Midnight Special 40 channel. Phil showing us what the very last radios in 1978, before it was all solid state, took over. Still sounding pretty good. Panasonic made a great chassis, and people were still glad to pick up those great sounding tube radios. The Burstein-Applebee BA23. Thanks, Phil. We haven't heard it for a while. Always nice to hear that one. The General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. Chris running into the Radio Shack tonight and keying up his favorite radio. Thanks for radio number 5. Phil on the Hammarlund HQ105TR. Just excellent sounding tonight. Nice audio all the way around. Harvey on his Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68. What else can we say about that except maybe it wouldn't be OTR if we didn't hear that once in a while. And the Gonset G11, I really like their diamond logo. I've got not 1, not 2, but 3 Gonsets, a couple of G76s, one of which actually I think I did net control on really long time ago. Forcing it to go on 11 meters for I don't know what reason, but what the reasoning was behind that. I don't think that will ever happen again. And a communicator 2, I guess the 2-meter communicator for the G11 sounding good. 73, everybody. Thanks to those listening. There are still a few of you out there at oldtuberadio.net. Hello, Newark, California. Madeira's still in. Fresno, 31. Robert's out there. Watch out. Yeah, stay clear of that ball lightning. It looks like Larry, Radio Ham Guy, is still tuned in from Minnesota. Check out his videos, by the way. Radio Ham Guy. He's got some, if you're thinking about getting into amateur radio, he's got some good ham radio videos. He's also got some tube radio restorations, some broadcast radio stuff, interesting stuff. So check out Larry's videos. Hello, Prather, Fresno, and a host of others. The archives will be up soon. We'll leave the video up for a while, and of course, we'll be back next week, we hope, doing the same thing with your radios. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com that keeps us on the Universal Media Network with all their technical expertise, and we will be back again. Going to close the windows here and turn off the tube. 73 from the old Tube Radio Network.
Good night. Good night.
Had a great show, Dennis.
And we'll see you later.